Have you ever wondered if you're making embarrassing mistakes as you age that everyone notices, but no one has the heart to tell you about? The truth is, many seniors develop habits that silently push people away, damage relationships, and even destroy their dignity, all without realizing it's happening. These aren't just small quirks, they're the reasons why your children might be visiting less often, why old friends suddenly seem too busy, or why people seem uncomfortable around you. In this video, I'll reveal 7 ugly habits that many seniors develop without realizing it, and exactly how to fix them before they further damage your relationships and self-respect. Let me tell you about Shirley, a 73-year-old retired teacher who was respected and admired most of her life. She was always well-groomed, positive, and the life of any gathering. But over time, she started developing habits she didn't even notice. Her stories became repetitive, her appearance less polished, and her attitude increasingly negative. Family gatherings grew shorter, friends stopped calling, and she couldn't understand why people seemed to be avoiding her. It wasn't until her granddaughter Ashley finally gathered the courage to tell her the truth. "Grandma," she said gently, "there are some things you're doing that make people uncomfortable." The revelation was painful, but it changed Shirley's life. Within weeks of making simple adjustments, her social life blossomed again. Could you be making the same mistakes Shirley was? Let's find out. Mistake 1. Neglecting personal hygiene and grooming. Did you know that poor hygiene is the #1 reason people avoid interacting with older adults? It's a harsh truth that no one wants to discuss, but it could be silently destroying your relationships right now. Gerontologists at the National Institute of Aging have documented how our sense of smell diminishes significantly after 60, meaning you literally cannot detect your own body odor or home smells that might be obvious and off-putting to others. What's worse, research shows that family members rarely mention these issues directly, choosing instead to simply visit less frequently or keep their distance. Take Thomas, a 75-year-old widower from Ohio. After his wife passed, his personal hygiene gradually declined. He didn't notice when his clothes weren't completely clean or when he had gone several days without showering. His breath developed a strong odor as dental care became less frequent. Thomas couldn't understand why his children's visits became shorter and why they stopped bringing the grandchildren all together. It wasn't until his sister finally told him the uncomfortable truth that he realized what was happening. Here's what you need to do, starting today. First, set daily hygiene alarms on your phone or clock, 1 for morning shower, 1 for teeth brushing, morning and night, and 1 weekly reminder for laundry. Second, ask a trusted friend or family member for honest feedback about your hygiene. It might be uncomfortable, but it's better than social isolation. Third, simplify your grooming routine to make it easier to maintain. Keep pre-moistened cleansing wipes in every room for quick refreshing. And finally, schedule regular hair appointments every 4 to 6 weeks to maintain a well-groomed appearance. Have you noticed people standing slightly further away when speaking to you? Do family members open windows when they visit your home? These could be signs that you're making this first critical mistake. Don't wait for someone to tell you directly. They probably never will. Take action today before this silent problem pushes away the people you care about most. Mistake 2. Becoming overly critical and negative. When was the last time someone seemed genuinely excited to speak with you? If conversations seem to end quickly or people appear less enthusiastic around you, you might be falling into the trap of excessive negativity without even realizing it. Neuroscientists at Harvard Medical School have documented a phenomenon called negativity bias that naturally increases with age. Their research shows that after 65, the brain's positive emotion centers require more stimulation to activate, while negative emotion centers become more sensitive. This creates a perfect storm where complaining, criticizing, and focusing on problems becomes your default without you even noticing the shift. Consider Nancy, a 68-year-old who couldn't understand why her weekly lunch group had dwindled from 6 friends to just 1, and even that last friend seemed to be making excuses lately. Nancy didn't realize that she had developed a habit of criticizing everything: the restaurant service, the food quality, the prices, other diners' behavior, and especially young people these days. What she viewed as simply speaking her mind was actually creating a cloud of negativity that exhausted everyone around her. Who wants to spend their limited free time with someone who finds fault with everything? Here's how to fix this immediately. First, implement the 3-1 rule. For every negative comment you make, challenge yourself to make 3 positive observations. This ratio has been proven by behavioral psychologists to transform conversation dynamics. Second, start a daily gratitude practice by writing down 3 things you're thankful for each morning. Research shows this actually rewires your brain to notice positive elements more readily. Third, before speaking, ask yourself, is this comment necessary? Is it helpful? Is it kind? If it doesn't meet at least 2 of these criteria, consider keeping it to yourself. Have you found yourself frequently comparing today's world unfavorably to the good old days? Do you often begin sentences with, "the problem is," or "what's wrong with people is"? These are warning signs that negativity may be sabotaging your relationships. Breaking this habit isn't just about being more pleasant. It could be the difference between a rich social life and lonely isolation in your later years. Start making this change today, not tomorrow. Mistake 3, repeating the same stories over and over. Has anyone ever interrupted you mid-story with, "You've told us this before"? That sinking feeling of embarrassment is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the damage this common habit causes to your relationships and how others perceive you. Neurologists from Johns Hopkins University explain that story repetition in seniors stems from changes in the brain's memory consolidation process. While you might not remember telling the story before, everyone else certainly does. Dr. Alan Simmons, lead researcher in senior communication patterns, notes, after the 3rd time hearing the same anecdote, listeners experience what we call narrative fatigue. They physically disengage, find excuses to end the conversation, and over time begin avoiding interactions altogether. Think about Kevin, a 77-year-old retired airline pilot. He had amazing stories from his career, but he told the same 5 or 6 anecdotes at every family gathering. At first, people listened politely. Then they started exchanging glances. Eventually, his grandchildren would find reasons to leave the room when he started speaking, and his children's phone calls became shorter and less frequent. Kevin had no idea he was driving them away with repetition. He thought he was being entertaining. Here's what you need to do before this mistake costs you more relationships. First, create a simple story journal, a small notebook where you jot down which stories you've shared and with whom. Before launching into an anecdote, quickly check if you've told it to that person before. Second, actively seek new experiences that give you fresh material to discuss. Even small adventures like trying a new restaurant or taking a different walking route provide new conversation topics. Third, before sharing a memory, preface it with, "I may have mentioned this before," which shows self-awareness and gives others an opportunity to gently redirect if needed. Are your phone calls getting shorter? Do people seem to find reasons to step away when you're speaking? These might be signs that story repetition is damaging your relationships. This simple adjustment in awareness can transform how others respond to you and keep your interactions fresh and engaging. Don't wait until people start avoiding you altogether. Implement these changes starting with your very next conversation. Mistake 4. Refusing to adapt to new technology. Are you still proud of not knowing how to use a smartphone or refusing to learn basic computer skills? What you see as independence might actually be the reason you're becoming increasingly isolated from family, friends, and society at large. Digital inclusion researchers at MIT's Age Lab have found that seniors who resist technology adoption experience up to 60% less contact with family members under 40. Dr. Rebecca Thompson explains, "Modern communication happens primarily through digital channels. When seniors refuse to adapt, they're essentially choosing isolation, as younger generations simply won't revert to outdated communication methods." Consider Dorothy, a 71-year-old who prided herself on not needing all that internet nonsense. She insisted on landline calls and in-person visits only. At first, family members made accommodations, but gradually her grandchildren stopped communicating directly with her since texting was their primary mode of connection. She missed out on family photos shared in group chats, wasn't included in video calls with relatives living far away, and never saw the grandchildren's school performances shared digitally. By the time she realized how much she was missing, she felt it was too late to learn and became increasingly resentful and isolated. Here's how to prevent technology from creating a generation gap between you and your loved ones. First, identify just one digital skill to master this week, perhaps sending text messages or making video calls. Don't overwhelm yourself with everything at once. Second, ask a patient family member, preferably someone under 30, for a 20-minute lesson and write down step-by-step instructions you can reference later. Third, practice daily for at least 5 minutes until it becomes comfortable. Fourth, consider technology specifically designed for seniors with simplified interfaces. Products like GrandPad or the Jitterbug smartphone provide essential connectivity without overwhelming complexity. Has your family stopped telling you about events because you wouldn't see the invitation anyway? Do you feel out of the loop on family news or photos? These are warning signs that technology resistance is already isolating you. The good news is that you don't need to become a tech expert. Even mastering just 1 or 2 basic digital skills can dramatically improve your connection to loved ones. Take the first step today before you miss any more precious family moments. Mistake 5. Inappropriate self-disclosure and oversharing. Have you noticed people changing the subject when you start discussing certain topics? Or perhaps conversations suddenly becoming awkward for reasons you don't understand? You might be crossing invisible social boundaries without realizing it. Social psychologists from the University of Pennsylvania have documented how acceptable topics for public discussion have shifted dramatically in recent decades. What was once considered normal conversation, detailed health issues, financial specifics, political opinions, is now often seen as inappropriate oversharing. Dr. Jason Martinez notes, "Many seniors grew up in an era when discussing bodily functions or personal ailments was more commonplace. Today's social norms have changed significantly, creating uncomfortable situations when these boundaries are crossed." Look at Bradley, a 76-year-old who couldn't understand why his adult children seemed to cut phone calls short, or why neighbors would suddenly remember urgent tasks when he started conversations. Bradley had developed a habit of sharing detailed information about his digestive problems, describing medical procedures graphically, and discussing financial details that made others uncomfortable. What he saw as simply being open was actually creating social discomfort that pushed people away. Here's how to avoid this relationship-damaging mistake. First, create a mental filter for conversation topics using this simple rule. Would this topic be appropriate to discuss with a casual acquaintance? If not, save it for very close relationships or medical professionals. Second, watch for non-verbal cues, like people looking away, checking their watches, or suddenly changing the subject. These signal you've crossed a boundary. Third, before discussing health issues, preface with a brief, "Do you mind if I mention something about my health?" which gives others permission to defer the conversation if they're uncomfortable. Do people seem to make excuses to end conversations with you? Have you noticed friends or family members seem reluctant to ask how you're doing? These could be signs that oversharing is affecting your relationships. Making this simple adjustment to your conversation habits can immediately improve how others respond to you and leave them wanting more interaction rather than less. Start being more mindful of conversation boundaries in your very next interaction. Mistake 6. Stubborn resistance to change. When was the last time you tried something completely new? If you can't remember, you might be falling into one of the most relationship-damaging patterns of aging: rigid inflexibility and resistance to change. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology shows that cognitive flexibility naturally decreases with age, making many seniors increasingly resistant to new experiences, ideas, and perspectives. Dr. Amanda Wilson, who specializes in geriatric psychology, explains, "What many seniors perceive as knowing what they like is often interpreted by others as stubbornness, close-mindedness, or unwillingness to accommodate others' preferences." Take Edward, a 74-year-old who insisted on eating at the same restaurant every Friday night, taking the same vacation every year, and refusing to consider any suggestions that deviated from his established routine. At first, his family tried to accommodate him, but eventually they stopped inviting him to try new places or experiences. His children began planning family activities without including him, knowing he would simply refuse to participate. His world became increasingly smaller as his rigidity pushed away opportunities for connection. Here's how to break free from the flexibility trap. First, implement the yes-first approach. Commit to saying yes to new suggestions before your automatic no response kicks in. Try it for just 1 week and notice how it opens new doors. Second, schedule one small new experience weekly, a different coffee shop, a new walking route, or trying a food you've never tasted before. Third, when someone suggests something unfamiliar, replace "I don't like that" with "I haven't tried that much, tell me what you enjoy about it." This simple phrasing shift shows openness rather than resistance. Have you found yourself using phrases like, "That's not how we do things," or "I'm too old to change now"? Has your family stopped suggesting new activities because they assume you'll decline? These are warning signs that inflexibility might be narrowing both your world and your relationships. The ability to adapt and remain open to new experiences isn't just about staying young at heart. It's essential for maintaining meaningful connections with others who are continuing to grow and change. Start breaking this pattern today before your rigidity leaves you behind. Mistake 7. Neglecting home environment and living space. When was the last time someone unexpectedly visited your home? If the thought makes you anxious, or if people rarely drop by anymore, your living environment might be sending signals you're unaware of. Environmental psychologists from Cornell University have documented a phenomenon called sensory adaptation, where people gradually become blind to their surroundings. Dr. William Thompson explains, after age 65, diminished sensory perception combined with emotional attachments to possessions creates a perfect storm where seniors become increasingly unable to recognize clutter, odors, or disrepair that is immediately obvious to visitors. Consider Lawrence, a 79-year-old whose children gradually stopped bringing the grandchildren to visit. His home had slowly accumulated clutter, stacks of newspapers, unwashed dishes, dusty surfaces, and a slight odor he couldn't detect. What Lawrence saw as lived in, others experienced as uncomfortable or even unhygienic. His family didn't want to hurt his feelings, so they simply shifted gatherings to their homes instead and visited him less frequently. He felt increasingly isolated without understanding why. Here's how to ensure your home isn't secretly pushing people away. First, implement the 15-minute daily reset. Set a timer for just 15 minutes each evening to clear surfaces, wash dishes, and return items to their proper places. Second, create a visitor perspective by standing at your front door and seeing your home as if for the first time. What would a visitor notice immediately? Third, establish a simple cleaning schedule with specific tasks assigned to different days to prevent maintenance from becoming overwhelming. Fourth, consider hiring help for deeper cleaning once monthly if possible. It's an investment in your social well-being. Has it been months since anyone spontaneously stopped by? Do family members suggest meeting at restaurants rather than your home? These might be signs that your living environment is creating discomfort you don't perceive. This isn't about achieving a picture-perfect home. It's about creating a space where others feel welcome and comfortable spending time with you. Make these small changes starting today, and you might be surprised how quickly your social connections begin to strengthen again. These 7 mistakes might be uncomfortable to acknowledge, but recognizing them is the first step toward positive change. Remember Shirley from our opening story. By addressing these very issues, she transformed her relationships and reclaimed the respect she deserved. The good news is that every single one of these problems can be fixed quickly once you're aware of them. You don't have to accept declining relationships or diminishing dignity as inevitable parts of aging. Small adjustments made today can dramatically improve how others respond to you tomorrow. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content that helps you age with dignity and maintain strong relationships. Which of these 7 mistakes did you recognize in yourself or someone you know? Comment below. Your insight might help someone else make an important change. Share this video with family and friends who might benefit from this eye-opening information. Together, we can ensure our golden years are filled with meaningful connections and the respect we deserve.